Minecraft. Stay a while and listen. What an appropriate splash screen for this episode of Exploration and Tactics with Brian. In this episode, there won't be a ton happening on screen. I'll be fighting around in the Nether with a looting sword, trying to kill wither skeletons in the hope of getting some skulls. Am I going to get the ones that I need to be able to spawn another wither? You'll have to watch to find out. But in any case, I'll be talking the whole time more about my London trip. And so let's go ahead and get started. Hello, and welcome back to Exploration and Tactics with Brian. And I was in the mood for a change of pace, and so we are back in the Nether. Should go ahead and drink a night vision potion so we can see what's going on. But basically, I'm in the mood to fight some more wither skeletons in the hope of getting another wither skeleton skull that I could then use to spawn another wither, because the wither battle was pretty fun. And I wouldn't mind doing it again, and so let me get away from this ghast and get over to the better portion of the Nether. But I've got my Looting 2 sword. I did, as you may recall, enchant a number of swords, and I finally managed to get Looting 2. It's also got Sharpness 3 and Fire Aspect, I think, and so it's a pretty good sword. And I do already have 2 wither skeleton skulls from previously going around my little wither farm that I have going on over here, and it looks like we've already spawned some wither skeletons. And so basically, I figure, since I've been doing such a slow job of actually getting through any of my London trip stories, this should be a reasonably straightforward kind of thing to do, just kind of walk around here and kill wither skeletons, and so hopefully I'll actually be able to talk more about the trip. And so let's go ahead and pick up there. And so on Friday in London, we went to Hogwarts, or more specifically, the Warner Brothers set where a number of the Harry Potter film stuff took place. Or I guess maybe they've brought some like set elements like over to this kind of like studio area. I don't know exactly. In any case, I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter personally. I haven't read the books, and I only saw a couple of the movies just because like kind of got dragged along there with other people. But probably some of you are fans of Harry Potter, and I hear that it actually was really good books, but I just have never read them. But in any case, as I mentioned before, there were a number of kids on the trip, kind of in, you know, the 10-year-old range or whatever, and so I think they enjoyed it tremendously. And even it was cool to be kind of like see a number of the set things and set designs and costumes and overview of the castle. Is that a skeleton? Yes, I wanted to make sure it was not a zombie pigman that I was about to be firing an arrow at. Because even though I am slowly getting back into the swing of things or whatever, it's still the case that it's like playing Minecraft and trying to tell a story is still a little bit of work for me to do at this point. Hooray! And I need to remember to put out these fires as the blaze is set, so that we stay in darkness out in all these areas, so that we'll be able to spawn more wither skeletons, like the ones seen right over here. Hooray! And hopefully we'll get a skull pretty soon. Hello, skeleton. I have sharpness 3. Oop, I've been withered. I think they move faster than they used to. Like, after you hit them, it's like a zombie that all of a sudden it gets slow for a moment. But I'm just going to let him run at me. Yeah, I think he sprints now. I don't think he used to sprint. I might be misremembering, but I don't think back in like 1.4.2 or whatever I was previously playing, they moved that quickly. I could be misremembering. Perhaps one of you knows the answer and can tell me in a comment. In any case, that's okay. Whether they're fast or slow or whatever, I'm just happy to have some of them to fight. And apparently this is the wrong way down. I haven't gone down here in a while. Here was the downstairs area that I wanted to take a look at, but it doesn't look like any of them have spawned down here right now. Okay. Yes, so we went to the Harry Potter studios, and it was pretty cool, and some of the kids really enjoyed it. And yeah, they had like the dining hall, and they had kind of like a big overview model of Hogwarts Castle kind of things, where they did some of like the outside shots, and a whole bunch of different set elements. I don't know the story and the people and the set areas all that well to try to describe them, but it was pretty cool. And they also had green screens And so you could either get on a broom and like fly around and like, you know, you're just in front of a green screen and then they put you in a picture where you're like flying around a city or something, you know, riding the broomstick kind of thing. Or I guess it was maybe Ron's car. And then you're like driving in front of a train or something, which I guess was one of the scenes for the movie. And so you like get into the car and pretend you're driving the car, and there's a green screen behind you, and you get like superimposed into the movie kind of things. And I like those green screen kind of things in general. I think the first time I encountered one was many years ago when I was a kid at Walt Disney World. They had a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of ride exhibit thing back when that was a recent movie. And with the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids thing, basically they had a place where you could ride a bumblebee, and so it was like a giant bumblebee kind of thing that you could ride, and then it was in front of a green screen, and then they superimposed that on, you know, a piece of the movie, and you're like flying around in the yard trying to hold on to the back of this bee or something. And so like I got to do that as a kid, and that was fun. And green screen also just made me think of I only did a few live streams of Minecraft before I left on the trip, but I have seen other people's live screens where they also do a live webcam and have their kind of like face and background kind of like superimposed over the video, and it's like better if you have a green screen, and then you could just get your face, and you know, rather than having a square that blocks out a whole corner of the screen, you're only blocking out a small portion of the screen with a green screen behind you. And I did actually, when I was in London, the travel agency or whatever that we did the trip with gave everybody these bright green ponchos that I wonder if it would work as a green screen if I like set it up behind me where I'm sitting. And so I don't know that I'll get to that anytime soon, but I think I might try to see if I can do something with kind of like while I'm playing the game, like having a video camera and doing something. I don't know. No promises. I'm only in town. Oops, there's another skeleton over here. Only in town for a couple of weeks before I'm going home again to Florida over Christmas. And so I don't have a ton of time to do that anytime soon. But that's at least an idea that I have, especially now that I've done the real-life videos and you've already seen my face. Like, I don't know, it's less of a big deal now to try to think about incorporating my smiling face into more Minecraft stuff. And so that was kind of a random thing that I thought about just kind of as a result of that Harry Potter exhibit, really. And let's see. I'm gonna have to check my notes for what's the next thing we need to do. But first of all, let me make sure I'm getting safe here. I'm not going to be bombarded by skeletons and blazes and whatnot. It's the whatnot that'll really get you. So let's see. The next thing we did in London that day was go to Trafalgar Square, which is where you find Nelson's Column, as well as, I don't remember the name of the museum, but there was an art museum there that I went into. And didn't spend much time there, but I just was kind of browsing around on my own quickly, and I did see a few paintings and artists that I knew. There was Monet with some water lilies. There was Rubens' painting that I recognized. And, oh, there was another artist that I liked that I saw there as well. And now I can't remember what it was. But that was cool. I was going over to the art museum while next door there's some church that I don't remember what it was, and it has some old crypts below it. And in the crypts there was a place where kids can do brass rubbings, which I guess is where you rub kind of like, you know, paper over a thing and you get an image on the paper kind of thing. I'm not describing it very well. But in any case, while the kids were doing that, the adults had some free time to do other things, and so that's when I headed over to the art museum, as well as when I was in Trafalgar Square. Hello, Blaze. When I was in Trafalgar... Oh, there's a skeleton over here, too. Hello. I have sharpness 3. You were dead in 2 shots. I am on fire. That is unhappy. I still have a lot of hearts, though, and even though I'm not regaining health, I have confidence. Oops. Gas is not as cool. Let's get away from the gas, and let's make sure we get the fires back out. I have night vision, and it's easy for me to miss the fact that this is lighting up the area now and preventing some of the spawns that I want. So let's try to get all these fires back out. I'm not hearing any fire sounds. Well, now I am. That was a little bit weird. Something seemed slightly off there. I might be making it up. Now I'm hearing fire sounds again. Yes, let's see. Trafalgar Square. So also when I was in Trafalgar Square, it reminded me a little bit of like being in downtown New York City because you get like random street performers. Aha, here's the magma cube that I heard. Perhaps I will get some, with my looting, some extra magma creams, or perhaps not, for future fire resistance potions. I do have fire resistance potions if I need them. But for the most part, I think I'm sufficiently well armored that even if I get set on fire occasionally, I should be fine. And so there were a couple of interesting street performers out in Trafalgar Square while I was there. One of them was a crazy kind of, I wouldn't call him a contortionist guy, but basically he had like a ring of metal. No, it was a tennis racket. It was a tennis racket with the strings removed. And he was like putting it over his body, and like so he like slipped his arms through it and then like dislocated his shoulder or whatever to like bring it down over one shoulder, and then like had it going down around his chest. And the guy, I guess, was like kind of slim, but it still seemed like impossible to like get his body into a tennis racket. And I think the tennis racket was getting warped, and you know, like saying funny stuff or whatever, and people were standing around and putting coins in his hat or whatever kind of thing. And then there was also you've probably seen street performers that kind of dress up in like all silver costumes and like have like a silver painted face, and so it looks kind of like they're a statue, and they'll like stand still and people will walk by and then all of a sudden they'll come to life kind of things. And so there was a guy like that in the square that day as well. And so that was just kind of like interesting street performance kind of stuff that you might find in any kind of like big urban hub, I suspect, where there's lots of people around. And yes, had a quick bite to eat in a little cafe around there where I got, I think, just kind of like some kind of like apple crisp treat or something, because most of the food in the cafe looked bland and uninteresting. But that was just grabbing a quick bite to eat that afternoon. And let's see, I think there was something else that day, and I can't remember all of the details right now. But we came back to the hotel again for dinner. We always had dinners, except for the last night, dinners in the hotel. But then in the late evening, we went out to, I think it might have been like the east end of the city, for a Jack the Ripper tour. And so for those of you who don't know, Jack the Ripper was a serial killer around London. I think he killed like 5 people over the course of a few weeks. And like, you know, like really awful kind of stuff, you know, like disemboweling people kind of things or whatever. And I'd gone on, you know, like such kind of like tours or ghost walks or whatever you want to talk about them, where you just go to like different spots in the city and the tour person talks about things. And he had this cool little device that then would like project pictures up on the walls of the kind of different alleyways that we were walking around to kind of like illustrate parts of the story or whatever. But it was only kind of so-so, I thought, the Jack the Ripper tour. But I did learn a little bit about that, and the kids were kind of funny because they were a little bit freaked out by some of it or whatever, and then, like, the boys were all, you know, like, wanting to hear more about the killings and kind of things, and then, because, you know, it's like this big, exciting thing for them, I don't know. And let's very carefully, hooray, magma cream! Here comes the skeleton. Hello, withering skeleton. Would you like to be the one who's going to drop the skull that I need? It would be super terrific if you did. But perhaps not. I don't think I've gotten any rare drops. I haven't even gotten a, not that we've killed all that many so far, but I haven't even gotten they have another rare drop. Stone sword. I think, are those the only 2 rare drops they have? And then they do coal and bones, I think, is the normal drops, if I'm remembering correctly. Let's go ahead and get rid of the blazes. I haven't been fighting enough skeletons to stay kind of arrow positive in here, so I hope I'm not running out of arrows by spending all... I've still got 22 arrows. I should be okay. With my sharpness 3 sword, I think I could still kill the blazes with 2 hits with the sword, and so not a huge problem. But yeah, you can see, even though I haven't really done any more work on this area since the last time you saw it, I'm going to have to pick up more food. I've got it in the ender chest. And so it's still not nearly optimal efficiency. There's still plenty of places for monsters to spawn outside of this whole area, because I haven't half-slabbed it up or lavaed it up or any stuff like that. But nevertheless, each time we walk back and forth, we're getting a few more spawns, and so overall, it's not bad. And this is also a nice opportunity to make more progress in terms of telling about my London trip, and then perhaps go back and talk about Baltimore and New York and some other places as well. Let's see. I have to open up the notes. I've got the surface out over here, and so that's where I've got kind of all my trip notes. Oh, right. And so with the Jack the Ripper tour, at the end of it, we were coming back on the bus, again, the double-decker bus that we were kind of riding around with the tour group everywhere. And admittedly, I was like dozing off at some point because this was, the end of the night, and we still haven't adjusted to the time, and I'm tired. But I think I was awake when the bus got in a minor traffic accident somewhere in the city, and I didn't even feel it, and I wasn't even aware of the fact that it happened until we'd been like stopped for 5 minutes, and people on the bus were talking and saying that we apparently clipped another car. I guess a car had to like just kind of like cut in front of us, and I guess just like a little bumper fender bender kind of thing as a minor accident. Apparently the bus driver was furious at this car that had cut in front of him. Let's get a little bit of food so that I have some. So as I get a little bit hungrier, if I lose some hearts, I will not die. And yeah, but I guess in general, like a double-decker bus, I'm sure has tons of mass, and in general, I actually thought the cars in London were going to be smaller than they were. In general, I think American cars and vehicles tend to be bigger than most other places, because our gas is cheap and we don't care about efficiency or something. I do. I drive a Prius, and I fill my car with gas like every 2 months. I also don't drive very much. But yes, the cars, yeah, it seemed like, didn't seem all that different from cars in the US, apart from driving on the opposite side of the road. And I think all the fires just went out because it seems to have gotten very dark, and so let me go ahead and drink another night vision potion. Nope, there is another fire over here, and so I'm glad I saw that before the night vision potion wore off, although I guess that would have burned out on its own. Let's eat some food so I can get some hearts back. But in any case, I was talking about sizes of cars just because a double-decker bus, I'm sure, has tons of mass, and so I expect that even if it had been kind of more of a crash with the little car, it still might not have been something that you feel on the bus just because of the mass differences between the vehicles. I'm speculating. But in any case, didn't really hold us up that long. I think after 15 minutes, we were kind of, back on the road again and heading home. And so went to bed that night, and then the next day was a number of very iconic things from London. We started the morning by driving out right over by Big Ben, which is in fact not the name of the clock tower, but rather the name of the bell that is inside the tower, which was a little trivia fact that I didn't know before. And so we didn't actually see Big Ben, we just saw the clock tower where it was housed, because we didn't go up inside it. But then we went on a little short cruise on the River Thames, and we went over to... I hear fires burning outside here, but I guess outside, so long as none of the light is leaking in, that's not going to affect my spawn rate or anything over here. We went over to the Tower of London, and inside the Tower of London area or whatever, there's a number of things, including where the crown jewels are housed. And oh my gosh, the crown jewels, like, there is the biggest diamond that I've ever seen, and one of the biggest, kind of pure, jewel diamonds or whatever in the world, in like some... I forget if it was I think it was in the Scepter that had the big diamond. There were diamonds and crowns and different things or whatever. But in any case, yeah, that's a place where you could spend a few pounds if you want to try to buy it off of them. I was joking that, yeah, I didn't exchange enough money. I had like 20 pounds in my wallet. I don't think I'm going to be buying the crown jewels for that. Probably not for sale anyway. But yes, the crown jewels were cool to see. They have an armory where there's like, you know, like old armor that like Henry VIII and other kings, you know, would be like the king's armor kind of things. And so you got to walk through the armory and like see some of that stuff that was also lavish and interesting and historical and all that kind of stuff. The Tower of London Day that day, unfortunately, and for like the cruise on the river, which is, you know, just like a big boat. I'm calling it a cruise, but it's kind of a short boat ride and a big kind of, you know, glassed-in kind of boat thing or whatever. It was bad weather that day. It was actually very rainy that day. That was fortunately the only bad weather day that we really had. I was expecting it to be more like Seattle at this time of year in terms of just being rainy every day and being London. So we were very fortunate in that respect. But the Tower of London Day, it was very rainy. And then after that, part of the tour group went in a different direction. But we ended up, with my family, taking the Underground, the London Underground, their subway system. Let's go a little different way and walk around and see if we can get some things to despawn and spawn. Let's try walking back out to this area, see if we see any... Oh, hello, skeleton. You are gonna run at me with your crazy sprinting, withering, whatever. The skeleton could give me some more arrows. That could be good. And I hear... Oh, withered. Ouch. And did he drop something good? Hold on, what did he just drop? Oh, I guess it was just some more coal. Got my hopes up prematurely. Thought he might have dropped a skull. No such luck. Yeah, the London Underground is their subway system. And it's very clean and nice. Like, we just took it for a few stops across... Oh, I don't remember. Was it the Red Line? From wherever we were back to like the Marble Arch Station or something. I can't remember for sure now. But we took the Underground back because various people in my family wanted to do shopping, and so we went again to Marks and Spencer, which is a... I want to call it like an upscale super Target. It's like a store that has everything. So it's like a department store, but it also has like grocery shopping. Oops. I am on fire. And not in a good way. Alright. I will regain hearts, and I believe there's a way up here that might be somewhere else where we might find some guys who we wish to kill. Hello, Pigman. Do you see any skeletons up here? Nope. Okay. At least now we've walked farther away, and so we can go back to the other area, and some of the outdoor pigmen should have despawned, and perhaps we'll get more spawns of the kind we're looking for. But yeah, Marks and Spencer, like the one that we went to, was like 4 stories or something, and so it was like a department store on 3 floors, and then like a grocery store on the other floor. And I was talking about London versus UK English. And so whereas, I'm not sure if they're completely comparable, but whereas here in America, if I want a treat, I would buy some cookies. In the UK, it's biscuits. And so I bought some almond biscuits, some little cookies, as a treat in the grocery area of Marks and Spencer. I think, yes, I was about to say, I think there's a magma cube there that I can't see in front of the fire, and I bet you he will jump in front of my arrow, and that is exactly what he did. And I should really be wary about spending all of my arrows, because I am down to 6 arrows. Alright, so we'll try to be careful about that, and try to kill a few more blazes in melee combat when possible. Yes, but this was actually, yes, the ladies in the party spent a lot of time in the department store area of Marks and Spencer, and so the men were just kind of standing around waiting, as is always the custom in department stores, and so we spent a lot of time there, actually, where I was just kind of like standing around the store. However, in the store, they did have a Santa Claus and an elf, and like little kids could come sit up on Santa's lap and like tell him what they wanted for Christmas. And so in that respect, department stores in the UK and the US are not all that different, because we have the same kind of thing in the US. And yes, so I got to see Santa Claus at Marks and Spencer. And let's see. Was there anything else important from that day? Let me pull up my notes again here. I guess perhaps that's it. I have no idea at this point how long I have been talking and walking around and fighting withering skeletons for no good loot at this point. It does seem like it's slower than I recall. I just heard a skeleton, so I bet he's down below. So let's go check down in this area, but then I'm going to check on the time. Hello, withering skeleton. Give me a rare drop, please. No such luck. Oh well. I am up to level 19, and it appears that this night vision potion is about to go out. And so I will stay in darkness for a moment, just so that I can double check that I have indeed put out all the fires, and I have. See more blazes over there, and that will be unpleasant. Let me check on the time for this episode, so I'll be right back. Alright, I think we have enough time for this episode, probably. I'll probably do a little bit more fighting around here off camera, just to see if I happen to get any luck with the wither skeletons and can possibly get myself up to level 30 for another enchant or something like that. But in any case, when we come back next time, perhaps I'll go back to working on some silverfish stuff, or I'm not sure what. And also finish telling you at least about London travels, because I'll get to tell you about one of my very favorite things that we did on the next day on Sunday. And so until then, I hope that you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.